having that little bit of a challenge tracking the time now.
And I think it's important that we admit it, because you're not going crazy. You probably already are.
You
like
probably
me. And
on this planet.
the world is shifting. There's new energy coming in. There's an energy that has been here for centuries and ignored. And so we're being forced back into accepting we have our own time.
We have our own time. And the topic for today is, in a roundabout way, do not be fearless, love more. So, I believe, William, and the reason why we're kind of doing this topic is it's really delicate with this idea of resistance in our world, you know, to embrace things.
Yes.
And just that word came up in a conversation with someone that's really knowledgeable about all the things happening with the vaccine and all that stuff. And they're making a decision not to do something based on fear. And I thought, well, it can't be about intellectual knowledge so much, you know, to move to more love. It's got to be a choice to fear less about what's coming up and to choose more love. But love doesn't mean making nice.
Exactly. And I personally believe that the vaccinations, the masks, are part of the universe forcing all of us to be more realistic, to look at who you are, what you are. Mm-hmm. I hear people complain constantly about how much the price of gas is. Well, do something about it. You can. People say, I'm afraid of investing in that company. Then don't invest, or get other people to say that company doesn't deserve the love and the joy that I have to give.
Ooh.
I wish you could see your face.
That's good.
Well, actually, you know, people, we fear what we think might happen. We say, there's so much money spent by that company over there, but we don't do anything about it. We still buy their product. We still buy their medicine. We still pay the bill, and we don't take action. Now's the time to stand up and speak.
Wherever you feel you can take action in the context of where you're at, this is not a narrative that can be tumbled down and rewritten by one person. But you and I had that conversation just come in the studio. I said, you know, I got my Medicare card. I'm like official soon, 65, and I've been solicited by a bunch of different companies, like everybody is.
Oh, sure.
And then as I dive down the rabbit hole with just keeping abreast of some of the information that's keeping the story in place, I discovered that Kaiser Permanente, which is one of the largest healthcare conglomerates in our country, has been forcing all of their healthcare professionals to get vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Or lose their job. That's the doctors, the nurses, the practitioners, the anesthesiologists, whoever, you know, is contracted under Kaiser Permanente. And I'm like, oh, so that was easy for me. Kaiser Permanente is totally off my list as a Medicare. Easy. United Healthcare is another company like that. So I'm like, that's where I'm going to start making my choices with my dollars.
And that is an act of love.
Yes, it is.
It is of loving yourself,
yep,
respecting yourself, your consciousness.
And
it is up to each of you. Love yourself enough to say, these are my dollars and cents, and I have a right to determine where those dollars are going.
You absolutely do. Blah, 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 blah. There if you're digging down the rabbit hole a little bit and following any of this story, you will discover that there's another story that's been holding up this infrastructure. It's been a planned, orchestrated takedown of humanity in a lot of ways.
And do you know when this started?
It probably started 40, 50 years ago, and even longer.
Try a couple thousand years.
Okay, and I would go with you on that one too.
Yeah, because, and all of you, The mess we're in, it can be traced all the way back at least 2,000 years.
All right, and so that's several incarnations for a lot of us that have been here, keep coming in. So let's pull up that wisdom and get this grassroots love
Great
more,
statement. Pull
love
up the
more,
wisdom.
fear less. You know, I mean, some of our words are really hedgy in our vocabulary.
Of course, yes.
And I'm kind of hitting home on a thing now. Fear less. Like, well, how about no fear?
Exactly.
So, like, fear, like people say, well, be fearless. Well, like, so have some fear, but not a lot of fear? I mean, what does that mean?
Well, 1,500 years ago, the common people, the serfs, they were taught, you stay where you are because you don't know what's waiting for you afterward. So here's some fear for you.
Here's some fear for you.
And we were feeding them fear, and we supported that by you having your professions, your education, taking you away from living your love and living with fear. I need the education or I won't have a career. Mm-hmm. All things to make you afraid of stuff that could work for you. Me, you.
And in that all or nothing choice,
Yep.
you know, it is fed by fear. It's either this or that. Like, really? We are multidimensional, divinely inspired, huge human beings in a spiritual body, right?
And Renata says divinely inspired. It has nothing to do with the religion you grew up with.
Absolutely nothing. I'm not a religious
Nothing.
woman at all. We were just having that discussion too. I'm not Christian. I'm not agnostic. I'm
But
not
she's one of the
Buddhist.
most spiritual people I know. Spirituality has nothing to do with your religion unless you practice all of the tenets of your religion.
And you've got something to say about that because you used to have a congregation. You were a minister. You didn't just do a she's thing and say you
Oh,
were
no, I was a
ordained.
Methodist.
You're a Methodist minister. You had a congregation of people that would sit and listen to you, ask you questions, come for counsel. So you were serious, and you left the congregation, your church, because you saw a lot of hypocrisy. I applaud you. And you started. This is a little plug for us. You started the Universal Life Alliance back in 1976. And it really was about shifting consciousness because you thought something was wrong with what you saw.
Something was wrong, and it's got wronger.
I know well, you just got to make up words now. It's got concocted.
Yes.
Concocted, broken. You know, like you can't even kick it to the curb because you don't want to leave it out anywhere. You just want to like dismantle it.
And so all of us, to manifest more love, get together. Have people in for dinner. If you say, oh, well, somebody might not wear a mask. Hey, you're living with fear.
You're living
Or,
with fear.
I can't accept the invitation. What if they won't let me in? You're living with what ifs.
Or what if, you're not vaccinated and somebody else is and you're worried about the shedding. And that is causing a lot of discussions amongst family and friends.
And I didn't even know what shedding was until you explained it.
And it's, and it could be a real thing. Honestly, you've got to know, because we live in a quantum energy, whatever you believe is. And that's why we keep hitting home the idea that you got to check inside here, because you make your reality.
Because
you do.
your energy
Yes.
can turn anything that's positive into negative. Well, if that works, how about if you use that same power of thinking, living, speaking, and turn fear into love?
It's time for all of us to be in integrity.
May I use myself as an example?
Yeah.
When I received my wonderful experience with the coma and the loss of a hip and everything, I actually consciously, before I slipped into that state, and after I came out of it, I said, thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Universal Consciousness. You trusted me enough to deal with this. You trusted me. That was love flowing in, giving me the power to love myself.
And, I'm notorious for making up the acronyms for words.
I didn't know that.
I know. So I got a new one for love. I got a couple new ones that I want to share because I said love is not about making nice. But sometimes it is. What about laughing over valuable experiences?
And what do you mean about making nice? What does that mean?
Making nice is like my own personal experiences, is saying yes when you don't really mean yes. And not keeping your boundaries when it feels like you might hurt somebody's feelings. So you just scoot over when you really want to say no, but you just kind of remain silent. That's what I'm talking about.
And that's another perfect demonstration of fear. I'm afraid what they might think.
Absolutely.
I'm afraid what they might do.
Absolutely, that's what I'm
saying. They
saying.
might point their finger and say, I don't like your dress. So what? They didn't buy it. If you bought it and you spent the money on it, wear it proudly.
I do recall this one show, Sally Jesse Raphael, the talk show.
Wasn't she something?
She was, and she used to always wear those red glasses, which I adored.
Oh, yes.
Personally. But then her audience members thought that they could make a shift for her, so she had like a contest, And at the end of the contest, she turned around. You want to know what won? She had those red glasses on. So, you can say nice things to people by demonstrating when you're present for yourself. And when you're in fear, you miss lots of opportunities to produce clarity. And right now, it is super important for us. This is a Thanksgiving holiday. People have extended it so they've got a nice long week. They're able to travel and go visit family. Take this opportunity to love up, to touch up, to communicate with, and be as clear as you can in your heart with the energy that you're sharing. And if you're afraid of catching something, if you're one of those people that has dug down the rabbit hole deeply and you know some of the protocols that they're saying that are really good for the supposed COVID, then you're going to be good whether someone sheds on you or not. Got it? So the important thing is to put yourself out there, be aware, and let that be.
Now, you brought up something that I think is important. A lot of people know, I could drive to visit my friends in Spokane. Mm-hmm. But what if? Mm-hmm. That's fear. What if there's a snowstorm? It means snow came out of the sky.
Right, and then you might be stuck in it. So then you could eliminate the what if, like don't go.
Right. Or you can say, if I get stuck, I'll meet some new people. Mm-hmm. Interaction. Mm-hmm. Get involved.
See, and something that people forget, though, is we set things up way before we actually take action.
Absolutely.
So, what if that intention was, well, if I do get stuck, I'll make sure I have some food and some, warm stuff in there, and I might have an interesting experience and meet some interesting people. That could be kind of cool.
Exactly.
And that's where we're really at with this new grassroots movement of knowing that we are the ones that are going to shift this whole entire story.
All of us. Working together, living together, playing together. And like it or not, even if you stay isolated, you're getting involved with people. Just on a different level. So let's bring it on to this level.
Right.
And it all expands.
Don't get really hung up on, I've got to stand up with the banner and say, no, you don't. Not at all.
You're the banner.
You're the banner. People are looking at your action. We were in a couple of stores, George and I, and then there was someone asked us to put the mask on. Okay. And so I decided I'm just going to ask people that ask me that, on what authority are you doing that? You got to know if this is not a really real story. It's kind of a stinky fisheye. So I make people uncomfortable. I'm not going to voluntarily put a diaper on my face because it is not natural. You all know where I come from. I've been really clear about that. Okay. And I'm not going to cause a fight with someone either who's feeling in fear that they have to keep their job. That's the requirement. They're good, but that doesn't mean that I can't speak up and say, well, you might want to check yourself a little bit because this is really a crazy story. Have you looked at anything? And I'll leave it at that. But I'm not just going to bow down. I don't do that.
But that's a very touchy line because, if your company says you have to have a vaccine or you can't work here, and there are no jobs available in your area, and you have a family, you might have to say, I choose to do it even though I don't believe in it. It is using a different form of love.
Yes, and I'm sure some people have made that decision.
My
You
son
know,
is one of them.
have made that decision. And you have to know that that decision to do that one time and then you find more information does not mean you have to make that decision a second or a third time, which is for the booster and all of that. Once you have new information,
Yep.
and at the same time, there are a lot of people out there in legal positions that are challenging this. There are many lawsuits internationally and locally and nationally that are happening to tear down this infrastructure.
Now, I want to back us up. I mentioned that Keith, my son, he made the decision, and now he told me that people in his company and related companies, people are standing up and saying, I'm not doing it.
That's what I'm saying. So if you can't have
Yes.
the fear. Just speak up where you're at, and like you said, it's like, okay, I got to do this. Well, that doesn't mean that's going to damage you forever. So know that one as well, because there is that absolutism. It's not an absolute thing.
And remember, if you make a change, the universe is going to make something come to you that's new.
Absolutely, including total vitality.
Yes.
So we have to pull in all of our wisdom and all of our ability to have faith. And what I mean by faith is just to trust that you did not come here at this particular time just to sit on your hands. There's lots of action, small action steps that will erode this hierarchy that's had control for a long time on our planet.
And the big action is love yourself. And that is not selfish. That is not egocentric. You love yourself, other people will learn to love themselves. By observing you, feeling you. We have recently met a new individual, and she's working the desk today, again, and it's all spreading energy. It's all recognizing that love works. She needed something different to do, and it just appeared. Perfect. If something comes into your life and it doesn't feel right in your body, say, thank you very much, gratitude. Thank you very much, but it's not for me.
Yeah, and you can go through a lot of classes and learn a lot of healing techniques, and they'll come back down to the same thing. Recognize you've got pain in your body, like, thank you very much for that message. I'm good. I'm going to take some action steps on that one. And that awareness in of itself, awareness changes, awareness creates new energy. Awareness creates new energy.
And love does not come from criticism. Criticism comes from fear. And I get a lot of criticism, particularly from the metaphysical community. What did you do to deserve your health problems? I get that a lot. That is not love. I already know I have problems. I don't need them to remind me. People say, well, you shouldn't take that. You should take this instead. You shouldn't sleep 2 hours a night. You should sleep 27 hours a night. If I want their opinion, I ask.
So another acronym for love. Leveraging oneness to create valuable experiences.
Yes, yes.
So leveraging your oneness, first of all, get rid
Hallelujah.
of your internal conflict about your ability to value your presence on this planet, your responsibility to shift the things that are not harmonious, that are out of alignment with who you've become at 64, 65, 81, 12, or 10. See what I'm saying? I got a little foof in my hair. Hang on. I can see way too much. It's whatever. Okay, so we're good now. Yeah, I know. We could foof your hair.
If you find it.
It's there on the side. It is there. You have the hair. It's time for a laugh break. Okay, go for it.
And that's it, Laughter is such a healer.
It is.
It is so much love.
It is.
Other people look at you and laugh. Hey, if they can laugh, why not laugh at yourself?
I know. I mean, in one of the tarot decks that we used to use a long time ago, the animal deck, I would pull the wolf all the time. It's like the prankster, or not the wolf, the coyote. The trickster. So, I learned, laugh at yourself, Renato. You take things way too serious.
Yes.
You take your knowledge too serious. You take your position you take everything way too serious, and you're kind of philosophical and heady. Okay, own that, but learn to lighten up some.
And all of you, in the lightening up, if you have an opinion, say to the person,
OP.
I have an opinion. May I give it?
Mm-hmm.
Give them a choice.
That's a big one, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, well, I know a lot of people, particularly in the metaphysical community, they say, I'm shown to tell you this, and they tell you what you didn't need to hear.
Like it's not going to do any good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we can be reminded of our daily magical makings, I think that makes for a good recipe for success.
And success is not based on how much money you make, how much notoriety you have. It's how you feel about what you've accomplished.
Right, on that soul level. And so when you leave and you do the review, how'd they do? Well, you're good. You might want to have a different experience about maybe valuing yourself, speaking up. I don't know. So then maybe you come back again. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but clearly being aligned with what feels right now is pretty important.
I think it's vital, because then that doesn't build anything to come back for.
I mean, that's the value of, for me, when I, say something and it felt like, oh, that was kind of harsh, I have no challenge with going back and saying, I'm really sorry. And I totally mean that when I do that. I'm really sorry.
And so the lesson is, anyone with similar things is learn not to speak just because you feel it, but know how it's going to affect whoever hears it.
If you're able to do that. I know you're pretty big on that one.
If I can do it, it's not something I made up. It is a real thing. None of us are perfect. And if somebody wants to live in a ditch, don't build them a house.
Oh, that's nice. If someone wants to live in a ditch, don't build them a house. Well, that's a good one. Let's not increase things that we don't want to play around with,
Right, and there are lots of things I won't play with, but I don't go out and search them out.
Ah, yeah, there is that conflict that,
Yes.
there is that. So, everything can be a learning experience and everything can be valuable if you choose to look at your experiences that way. If you choose to look at it differently, then it could be different.
But I disagree slightly. Everything, no matter what it is, has a positive solution. You might not see it, but your soul does. No experience comes to you unless you can deal with it. And so recognize, if you're in a wreck with your automobile, love it. I tell the story of, I was driving a brand new Prius, and another car came along and took the front end off. And he and I sat down waiting for the police, had a wonderful visit, and the police said, do you know where the people are from the accident? Because we chose to say, it happened. We might not like it, but we don't have to get upset.
You don't have to claim the outcome.
Thank you.
And so, for example, too, being out and about yesterday in different stores and that, had some nice conversations. That's like my social hour when I go out and about, with a bunch of different people. And they had masks on, I clearly did not. And I'm like, I had a fuzzy coat on. The woman like, oh, I used to have one of those. Like, you touch it. And then she touched it, and we had this other conversation about other things. And we both smiled. She was smiling under her mask. I knew it. So it's like, if I were to have fear about, well, people aren't going to want to talk to me because I'm not wearing a mask, and And I should just keep my head down and go in the store like, no, I'm broadcasting my presence. Like, look at me. Here I am. Touch me, talk to me. You know? That's the deal.
And the people who have similar energy,
Yep.
they're going to talk to her.
Yep, that's what happens.
I've seen it happen many, many times.
Yeah. So we all have lots of gifts of presents.
Hey,
You know, it's the holiday time. Start sharing your presents.
and just remember, there are many people, and I'm one of them, who don't celebrate any of the holidays. That doesn't mean I'm not having joy on that day. It means I'm having joy in a different way.
Well, you know, we've gotten really one-sided on the holiday thing. I mean, at Home Depot, they had the Santa up and all that at, you know, Halloween. So we've gotten really, I call it Giftmas, not really Christmas. You know, and besides, I'm not Christian, so the whole Jesus thing, that's not, you know, and that's not what it was about. Every time we start to commercialize something, we kind of bastardize it, you know?
And that's what I was
And we
saying
take the meaning
about
out of it.
stand up. If you don't believe in spending a lot of money just because it's a holiday, don't do it.
Really? I mean, and considering that we've got, you know, some of the financial and economic challenges for a lot of people that have been created from this particular narrative the last year and a half, you would think that those that are concerned would not try to slam you in the face with Black Friday sales and buy this and buy that and do this and do that and give this gift. Well, what about giving the gift of love?
Love.
Fear less, love more. The presence of you in someone's space is valuable.
When my kids were babies, that was a couple of 100 years ago, instead of doing a Thanksgiving dinner, we would do a picnic.
Oh, you did a picnic?
Yeah, we'd go camping and, well, they would go.
I got you.
The truth is, I checked the kids in
And you went to the hotel.
and I went to a hotel.
Yeah, that's the idea of we're glampers.
And then we would get together and have a picnic.
In our family, we're going up to the kids in Monroe, and generally they have like a huge extended family, like 30, 40 people there. But because, you know, it's a little different this year, but, you know, we're still going up, and I'm excited about spending some time with them and hanging out with them, you know? So we've always done that in our family. And sometimes we don't celebrate the Thanksgiving or the Christmas on those days.
Exactly.
But we make time to either, maybe we do a trip later on in the year, or we get together another day. And we do the same thing with birthdays, but we always honor and acknowledge those things in our family that are sacred to us, and those things are sacred to us because they mean we get together. That, you know, that's it.
And so find what works for you.
That's what the idea is. Find what works for you, and then, but you know, sometimes we're bridging. You know, I know it's not like we ask you to come with us and you're like, it's not really my thing. I said, well, I'll bring you some food. And then some of your other friends that love you said, well, you know, we think we're going to maybe come by. I said, okay. And you're like, yeah, it's okay. See, so you're bridging.
Well, and I'm going to tell a personal story.
Okay.
The friends that you know are coming to visit, they said, well, I don't eat this. And I said, no, I don't eat pork. And so we're doing ice cream sundaes.
Yum. I have some lemon bars in my car for after the show, too. They're good. And let's see. And so, blah, 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 blah. With this theme of fear less and love more, know underneath that mask is a person that's just wanting to smile. And for some reason, if they're on the other side of the counter, you know, they're being required to do this. So, I look just to get a real conversation going. That's at Love More. You know, their
Absolutely.
tags, they got their name there, you know, and you can tell if they're willing to have a conversation because they immediately catch, oh, hey, I know, isn't it nice? It's sunny outside today. And they're like, I know, it's so great. And then they're doing something else. And remember the last show that we had was about tapping?
Oh, yes.
So this is what I mean about having, you know, some really healthy, vital dialogue in your head, because you can just tap in. Oh, that was a great conversation that I had with that person. It's so nice to just see people smiling again.
And then you're absorbing that love.
You know, that's the magic bullet here with a lot of things.
Now, this brought up a story.
Okay.
I have
You've
a
got
fr-
lots of stories today.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend in Osaka, Japan, and she listened to Renata in one of our shows and decided she didn't want to wear a mask anymore.
Okay, I love
But-
her.
She couldn't go shopping in her favorite store. She couldn't go to her favorite restaurant. So she, who is a clothing designer, designed a mask, and it has lips. And so when she talks,
It moves.
they move.
Oh, I love that.
And so people can hear, and it's hilarious. And now the company she works for said, will you design them so we can sell them? And she said, no. I've designed them so people can design them themselves.
I like that one. When this first came out, I tried to do a plastic one and then put some, and I wasn't very handy that way, you know? But I love that one. You
Well,
know,
as a fashion designer, she figured out how to do it, and it wasn't exact duplicate of her mouth, but it
close
brought
enough.
the point across, and people respond to it. And she said, make sure you thank Renata.
okay. And the same thing with people that have those gator masks on and
Yes.
they've got like a Halloween or whatever. I always go up and say, oh, I love that mask. And in fact, we were somewhere and the guy behind the register had done such a great job if he had his hair, you know, freshly barbered, and he had these great brows. But in this mask kind of accentuated. So while we were paying our bill, all I could think is, God, he's nice looking. Look at those brows and his hair is all done. He put some energy into wanting to present himself today. So we were done, and then I went back and said, you know what? You have the prettiest eyes with those brows and everything, and look at you. And he's like, oh, thank you. He just lit up and smiled, you know?
And all of you, that's what you can do.
Yeah.
Find something to spread your love, even if it's just giving another person on the subway a smile.
Because if you think we're going to die and don't have immunity when we all came through the vaginal birth canal, like, really? We were exposed to every particular known, you know,
Oh.
like virus and, you know, all the antibodies that we need to survive and thrive through the birth canal. You know, we were all women in the very beginning, female, you know, and then at 4 weeks or something like that, then the decision is made whether you're going to come in male or female, and sometimes people pick both, you know, hermaphrodites.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So birth is kind of the mystery, but we made it through the birth canal, so we're good, and there's nothing dirty about the birth process. It's pretty beautiful. So we're birthing a new reality now, you know? We've had practice.
And you know, we're all going to die someday. And so, if you're going to be afraid of dying from a virus, be honest with yourself. You're just afraid of dying. Because someday you're going to do it anyways.
It's kind of one of those inevitable things. Now, can you come back? Yeah, probably.
And maybe not. I know people,
They're done.
friends of mine, who say, this reincarnation stuff is ridiculous. I go, thank you. I didn't ask your opinion. I happen to disagree with you.
I do have one good friend that she's like, when I'm done, I'm not coming back. This is just an insane place. And this is way before the COVID or anything. And sometimes I think about it, I'm like, I feel you on that. But yeah, I get you. You know, I don't feel that way necessarily.
Yeah, and
but
she probably said, I'm not coming back. And that set her up to come back.
probably. But, you know, it didn't always resonate with me. So, like, you know, I just didn't go into a long conversation. I didn't want to continue that one. You know, it's like, it's okay. You can be however you feel you need to be.
Absolutely.
But I say, do not be fearless. Love more. You know, learning only valuable experiences.
And take a deep look at yourself and determine how much you are influenced to make a choice out of fear.
That's a big one. It's like
I
take
know
a
a
step
lot
back.
of women who choose to get married and have babies, and they didn't want to.
Yeah, and
They
I
think they have to.
and I listened, so I knew all my
Yeah,
my
yeah.
girlfriends and you know high school. Like I want to have one friend. I want to have 7 kids. She actually does. She has like maybe 8 or 9. Married her high school sweetheart, and she wanted kids though. And so like, wow, that's cool. I knew I did not want kids. having many incarnations and being a mom and having kids already in many lifetimes, I'm good with that one. I knew that on
I
a deep
did that
level.
one.
Did that one, but I have a huge extended family. So, I just embrace that. I'm Mimi. I'm a grandmother.
I've told this story on the air of my life as a dog.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And I was in the spirit world. And they said, well, the people that you want to incarnate with, all the bodies are taken. And so I could have reacted in fear. So how about that fuzzy one over there? They said, it's a dog. I said, yeah, I'll take it.
Sometimes dogs have the best viewpoint now.
Oh, yeah. Well, as
Okay.
a dog, I could sleep with anybody. No one cared.
Gosh. Oh, but speaking of dogs, this is like a little inspiring news brief. I saw in Good News Network, there is a gentleman in Brazil, an artist,
Yes.
and he's taking old tires. He's been doing it for a while, but taking old tires, cleaning them up, and then decorating them, coloring them, and making upholstery little pillows that for the animals. For the stray
Isn't that
animals.
incredible?
And it's so adorable. He has a little bone on the front, and he gives it, the dog has a name, puts it there. I posted it on our Facebook page so people could look at it, but I thought, and that's in Brazil where one of our viewers lives. I posted on Mara's page so she could see that one.
I think it's exciting.
It just made my little heart go, oh, we can just inspire people.
Yeah, well, one of our board members and I are doing some research on what we can do as Tula to help the animal kingdom.
I know.
I think it's exciting.
I do too. And so if that one idea could, take root across the waters and inspire people, inspiration is everywhere. And I love that we have the Facebook, which is now called Meta Universe. The little logo's down there now. I'm like, I'm not sure what that's about and where we'll be with that in 6 months or not. But right now, we're using it to post things, to give awareness to people. We'd like you to go to our webpage, the universallifealliance.org, and there's information on membership. And you want to share a little about membership in Tula?
Okay, I think you just did it.
Okay.
Membership is free,
There we go.
but you do get opportunities that non-members don't get. And we try to post ideas of how to live joyfully, lovingly, comfortably, and create a world where everything has the right to live.
And in fact, on your blog, William's blog on our website, you did an article on change, and I just came across that again this morning. And I'm like, oh, I really like that. You were saying, fear only adds more negative energy to the problem. And I'm like, yay, right on. Right on. And trust yourself, follow your daily intuitive energy, and you will be able to enjoy your life no matter what stuff comes along.
Yes.
And I'm like, that was, and don't try to change people. I just wrote down a few highlights. It was a short article. Most of your articles are short. They're not super wordy, but the energy, you can feel exactly what you're saying. So again, you're welcome, it's true. There are several good things on the universallifealliance.org website. There's Tula's blog, there's Renata World, that's me. And I've got several, what do I call them? Aromatherapy classes, but they're like multi-dimensional aromatherapy. So we're using lots of different energies to create sense, to make your life better, to make your life more graceful, and to give you more sense of control over your health. Yeah, so that's kind of where I come from. And then there's just lots of articles on the Tula blog that can talk about things that you can do for the protocol for COVID. There's lots of articles from different resources around the globe. So do go check that out. We put a lot of time and energy, and our webmaster Kai does a great job, even though she sold her condo and she's in flux now. But she always has her computer out and ready to make
Ain't we all?
make changes for us. So we've been moving along real intently since April, wanting to gather people at some of our events. Right. So we had
And a lot of people are still reacting in fear.
Yeah, they are.
We can't go to a public event. Well, you have a choice.
You do.
if you want to be part of creating this new environment, get involved in participation.
Right.
If you're afraid to go to a dinner, have a picnic in your backyard and invite the neighbors. Someone will show up.
And when that fear nugget for me starts to come around and starts to feel like a reality, I instantly go in and like, how can you shift this?
And don't take on other people's fear. People say, I can't do it because what are they going to think? Who cares? I question clients many times. You're afraid of what the neighbor's going to say? Are they paying your rent? Are they buying your food? No? Then don't listen.
Well, and it's interesting because it's like just because you're afraid doesn't stop anything. So you can
Exactly.
be afraid and still act.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that wasn't mine. I read that from somebody else, but it certainly makes sense. You know, it really does. Like, I'm afraid to jump. Okay, honor that, and you know, if your profession is jumping, then you know, honor it and then jump.
Yeah.
Like if you're a stunt person.
Yeah.
That'd be odd to be afraid of that, but maybe you're conquering your biggest fears, huh?
Exactly.
Or you do like me, who, even though I'm a Pisces, I do not actually recall how to swim. And so all our vacations, even though we go to water, I'm, you know, in the sunsuit, you know, by the pool, and I'll go dip my feet in, but I'm like, it's okay. You know, if I go out again drowning, then I go out again drowning. I'm good.
Well, I know people who are afraid to take an airplane right now.
I know.
And I say, what is there to fear? That it's going to fall out of the sky? Well, if you're supposed to make it over into the spirit world, if a plane falls out of the sky, it'll fall on you. If you're supposed to get it, you're going to get it, gang. Just make the most, follow your heart, follow your intuition, and celebrate your light and your love.
Again, that's another opportunity for tapping. We talked about that emotional freedom tapping. So what I do with my fear of the water thing is like, okay, Renata, you do have a little fear of the water thing. I look at that. Where is that coming from? Probably drowned a few lifetimes. Okay. So even though I've drowned a few lifetimes, it doesn't mean that I'm going to do that right now. So I'm tapping that each time the fear gets less and less, and I can actually feel that register in my stomach.
Yes.
I no longer have a pit in my stomach when my husband drives a little bit crazy and the rain goes shush. You know, he's seen me one time. I'm like grabbing on.
Yeah, right.
So I had to acknowledge I had a lot of fear about that from other lifetimes. Feels a little bit better now. I may even take a swimming lesson.
And so, all of you, it doesn't matter if you believe in past life. It doesn't matter what religion you are or what you believe in. It matters that you take responsibility for the moment, not what if. And if you're faced with your fear, don't run away from it. The gods, or whatever you believe in, trust you enough to bring that experience. Now it's your job to say, I'm going to deal with it gracefully.
And you know, and figuring out how you're going to embrace it. Grace is a good tool. I love grace.
Grace.
You know, moment by moment. You know, acknowledging that, ooh, this is a deep nugget.
Yep.
Ooh, this feels really heavy.
And so remember that
You know,
gratitude
all of
of
that.
say, thank you for the illness. Now I'm going to be flat on my back, but I'm going to be nice to the people that come and see me. I'm going to be nice to the nurse, the doctor, whatever. It's all about choice. It's not about the experience. Don't
No.
fear any experience.
And so you say experience, I say it's not about the form. You know, it's
Same
about the
thing.
it's about the journey. It's about your journey because that's why you're here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so embrace whatever comes into your life. And if you remember, people say, well, I wish I had done something different. But if you was able to do something different at that moment, you would have.
You would have done something different. So crying over spilled milk, just go get another glass of
I
milk.
love that. No crying over
Just
spilled
go get
milk.
another glass of milk.
That's right.
I mean, and that idea of, you know, love more is we have so much available to us.
oh, yes.
You know, and notice how the economy is still going on, but it's just this infrastructure that is being forced upon us to move us in a direction that is not harmonious. It's just a few group of people that want to see the power centralized still. And I got to say, it's not working real well. But they've got everything mixed up. And so the next step, and the next step for a long time, is to keep stepping forward moment by moment and then honoring who you are, honoring who you are.
And knowing that no matter what you need, if you really need it, you can make it happen.
It will show up. Almost
And that's
effortless.
making it happen.
Yeah, almost effortlessly.
Exactly.
And do your best not to limit what shows up. This show is called New Normal, exploring infinite possibilities. Be the rubber tire bed dog maker.
I tell people, when you go to bed at night, release the day, it's over, can't change it, and then say to the universe, or whatever you believe in, I am ready to receive gracefully whatever you bring me tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's solid.
And, you're ready to deal with anything, or you wouldn't be here.
And so, again, the strategy for this story that's on our planet for the last year and a half, 2 years, that's in our face, has been to create more fear than ever before.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that we have no cognitive recollection of our beauty and our glory and our light. In fact, we squish it out by closing down our heart with fear.
That's right.
That's the deal. And those that have perpetrated this story know that is the only way to squash humanity. It's the only way to squash. And they're doing a pretty good job, but not a complete enough job to see that happen. That's why there's going to be more pressure for a while.
Oh, yes.
So no, this too will pass because it is not sustainable in the realm of life-giving energy, and that's what you have to choose.
I just had a conversation this morning before the show with a friend on Maui, and the conversation went to the point of admitting that we're blending the way of the ancients with the way of the future and creating a world where everything that we need is supplied.
As it was in the past, like
That's right.
in the desert, and you can see where they've got figs and
Oh,
greenery.
sure.
Like, where'd that water come from? Yeah, well, deep in the crevices of rocks, there's water.
And a lot of it has nothing to do with water. We think you can't have greenery without water. BS. We can.
You can get it from the air.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Nutrition.
we're on a different thing.
Nutrition from the air. This is our moment of silence.
Yeah, I have nothing more to say.
Yeah. We got about 10 more minutes, so.
Go for it. You don't always have to agree with everything that other people say or do, but you need to at least allow people to say it without making them feel guilty, without making them feel inferior. It doesn't mean you're agreeing, it just means you're practicing love. Love everyone's right to be whatever it is they are. If you don't like it, don't go back.
Right, I love that when you say that give people the right to be, but they don't have to be in your space.
That's right. There are lots of people, I love their right to be, I just don't invite them to my home. Yeah. And that's what I say, if you don't want to go out to dinner, have a picnic in your yard and say to your neighbors, we're going to have a potluck in the backyard. And then everybody share.
Well, and also when you go out to the store too, there a lot of the stores are asking you to make a little donation so some other family can have dinner. And so, like, well, if you don't do that, that's fine. But you could dig in your pocket and do $5 or $10 towards somebody else that might want to do that. I love that the store is using their, their enormous presence in a community to, create some little grassroots movements and making it easier for people to share.
Very important thing.
Making it easier for people to share. So, I mean, there's just lots of opportunities. So you don't have to participate totally in the holiday season, but you can participate in allowing others to participate in the holiday season.
And like Renata said it about 11 minutes ago, is you don't have to do it just on the holiday. Do it when it feels right.
You can do it when it feels right.
When it feels right, do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of erasing the old scripts, and the old scripts come from our beliefs about certain things.
Perfect.
And so, that little technique of the emotional freedom tapping is a really good tool to release some of those old scripts. I mean, you can check it out.
Absolutely.
We did post it was like an hour and 5-minute video or something on emotional freedom tapping. So you can just go for free and watch the video on our, on our web pages or on our Facebook pages, and download the little charts that I shared, and integrate that, adapt that in some way that it works for you. Because I know a lot of us have fear, and if we don't have the fear, we're feeling the fear, so you have the fear, right?
Yep,
At some point with this story, you bump shoulders with somebody in the elevator, and they don't say hi because maybe they're absorbed in their day, like a lot of people, But it seems in those close communications, that's a really good time, in my opinion, to start making connection with people.
Making connections, interaction, participation. Very important. We are creating a world where our future generations can live together, love together, and celebrate together.
That's the idea, yeah.
And if we don't teach them by our own demonstration, we're limiting the children that are coming.
And it's almost like we have been doing that, living by example a lot of times with a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
And so we're not saying, no, you haven't done that. But it just right now feels like it's across the board with everything. Like using your ability to respond to the things that are coming to you and through you, and embrace them and then let them go. I mean, that's how I feel it's a really solid way to release the fear.
Yes.
Is to embrace it. You apply a lot of resistance, and there's that word, fear less, like have less fear. Well, I'm saying no. I'm saying go to solution, have more love. I don't even want to use the word have less fear. That's just my personal lean on that.
Well, celebrate love. And enjoy who you are, and you will enjoy attracting people of similar compatibility.
Because you can't fake the resonance of that. I mean, you can move your boundaries to allow somebody in, but eventually you'll just move your boundaries till you fall off the side, and then you're not there. So, a lot of it is just, for me, just resolving that inner conflict about where you stand in life and, how you would like to have things be for you.
And remember, what works for you, don't expect it's going to work for everyone. Find what is you.
Right, and it doesn't need to work for everyone. You just need to find something that works for you, exactly. And then hold on to that little bit of truth, and then you'll attract more things that work for you. But if you never attempt, then you don't ever really get there.
One of the things I find fascinating is how many people impose their beliefs on me and my physical health.
Yeah.
I appreciate concern, but I don't appreciate unnecessary criticism.
Right, and you're a pretty private person, just in general.
Did you know that?
Yeah. And I mean, you have been in the distance in terms of our friendship for a long time. You were in Hawaii and then Portland, and just recently you've come up here. And I've known you've always been private, but from working with you a little bit more, I really understand that. And it's a delicate balance when you've got aches and pains, as you do. But I have learned gracefully just to back off. And our deal is, if you need us, call us.
And that is what works for me.
Yeah, it took us a while to get to do that dance. And then if I start to get a little bit of fear, like, well, I hope he's okay. I hope he didn't fall. I'm like, okay, you would probably know if something happened to him. You guys have telepathic communication. I call
Oh,
you,
yes,
you're like,
yes.
I was just about to call you. That happens to us all the time. So why do you think that would be different, Renata? Oh, you're right. You're good.
And if I do fall off the balcony, the police will call her because her number is recorded.
So again, we don't have to bring forth our worst fears because our thoughts are things, and we just have to own those. And that's a challenge for a lot of people. I get it.
And you're so right.
You just have to own it.
Thoughts are things.
Like if they had 2 feet and 2
Oh, yes.
hands and a head, you know. We've been watching a lot of Netflix, and we've got a couple of little series that we like. One of them is a vampire one, and we kind of binged watch one night, and I went to bed going, oh, why do you do that? You don't ever sleep when you like just TV, and then go right to sleep. You're restless. And I tried to be kind of negative with George about it, and I'm like, Renata, you could have got up at any time and said, honey, I'll see you later. I'm going to bed. That's your nighttime hygiene is your nighttime hygiene. It was you that you needed a reminder that doesn't work for you. But on the other side of it, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if watching those vampire movies is so good. And then I heard, it's just an experience. Now you don't have to come back and be a vampire to experience, right? I'm like, oh, you're going to let all that stuff go, Renata? You know? I mean, and if you are unaware and you're watching a lot of TV, that could be a little bit of a challenge. But watching TV from a space of personal awareness and safety is like, that's what that is. It's entertainment, if you want it to be that.
Yes, everything is entertainment. I have a friend in the spirit world, and he always reminds me, we don't have televisions and movie theaters here. All we do is watch human beings. So,
Is that it?
go in peace.
Yes, you don't.
Right. And remember, if you judge anyone else, you're actually judging yourself.
Ooh, that's a big one. Let's close with that one. But we didn't do our huggies.
Yes. Thank
right.
you.
We'll see you next week. We'll see you next month. Is that amazing?
Oh,
this year's almost
this is
over.
gone
Like
away.
what?
Bye.